So we're gonna be doing speeches. Okay, so it's our new topic. So again, it's always the section A of your paper, and there's nothing that different about it. When we compare it to letters and informal and formal letters, because both of them come under the first part of your paper, which is again section A of your paper, and they're both for 30 marks. So it's like you don't get both of them, you get either of them. So again, this is your compulsory question. Okay, you don't have a choice here. You just get either a letter, an informal one, or a formal one, or you get a speech. Okay, or you get a report, or you get a magazine article. So you just need to know all four of them in order to perform well in this section. So looking at what speeches are, so the first thing that you need to know is your, again, it always has five paragraphs. Okay, ideally has five paragraphs. The first one is always your introduction. So sorry, I'm not feeling well a little, so I have to take pauses before I speak because I'm I'm fasting, so it
Yeah,
gets
no
a little.
worries. No worries.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, okay. So, the first thing that you need to know is that in your introduction, that's what is different, because you are supposed to introduce yourself, okay? So, in the letter, you weren't doing that. You were starting from a mere dear, and then you went ahead and you started talking about absolutely anything related to your relationship with that person that you were writing that letter to. Maybe in a formal letter you would have to tell that you are probably a resident of a certain area or something like that, but other than that there was no fixed introduction for you, whereas in this scenario there is a fixed introduction. So they have given an example over here. So they've said good morning, afternoon, evening to boys and girls, our principal, teachers and fellow students, my Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. So this would be, so first example that they've given is for a school function. The second one that they've given is for a official function, or it could be distinguished guest. Okay, so the thing is that when you are writing a speech, there are so many types of speeches. Okay, so right now this is what they've given under persuasive speech, which is the most common type of speech. However, persuasive speech is not the only type. So the different type that you get are that you get a person experience speech. Okay, so in that you might not have to go ahead and give such a formal introduction. Otherwise there's special occasion speeches. So special occasion speeches can start, it depends on the topic really. So special occasion speeches can also start very directly. They can just direct to the person that that you are talking about, because it's a special occasion. Let's say the special occasion is that you're giving a award to a person. So it could start with just three adjectives that you know about that person. So it really just from varies from topic to topic how your introduction is going to be like. However, again, that is something that will come under the types of speeches. Hence, I won't get into that yet. I am just explaining the format, which is going to remain the same for all of them, almost all of them. So, in the introduction, all of them are going to have an introduction, all of them are going to have three body paragraphs, all of them are going to have a conclusion. Just the content is going to vary. How you're going to start it is going to vary. How you're going to end it is going to vary based on the type of speech or based on the type of topic that you have been given. However, the first thing that you need to understand is that this is how a speech starts, that you greet the audience. Okay, then you basically introduce yourself to the audience, or what you are, why you standing there and giving the speech. So the speech is that you have been given a position of honor. Okay, so you are not randomly just given a position of honor in any scenario, even if it's a wedding toast. Okay, now that too is a speech, but then you have been given the honor of giving that certain wedding toast. So you always need to remember that if you're giving a speech to somebody, to an audience, that will fall under you being in a place of honor. Okay, you being in a place of power in some sort. Okay, so you have been given that position. Okay, so that is why you might have to give your name, you might have to give your position, you might have to give your relation. Okay, so let's say if you're talking about a person and you're related to them in some way, you might have to give that. So when you're writing a speech like in letter, we try to make it sound like we're communicating. When you're writing a speech, one thing that helps is always imagining that a group of people is listening to you. So, would you think that this is something that you would have to tell a group of people before you start, writing? So, you have to imagine that I am going to be saying this in front of a group of people. Will it make sense then? That's what you need to focus on. And it's not a conversation this time, it's more like you're announcing a certain thing. That is why, again, you need to imagine yourself in front of a group of people. Do you understand the first part of it?
Yes.
Okay, how great. Moving ahead. Okay, so when they've said introduce topic in the last part, they said that you have to give your name and maybe a department that you're representing. Okay, now they're moving ahead and they're talking about introducing the topic. However, as I said, this is going to vary with the type of speech that you're writing. So while they're talking about persuasive, they will have this example of introducing a topic. So every single time that you're writing a persuasive speech, you will also have to introduce the topic. You will probably be there to talk about a topic. Persuasive speeches are when you want someone to look at a certain thing from your manner. So there's three types of it. There's either fact, value, or action. Fact is when you are having a persuasive speech about something historical, maybe a monument. So me deciding to talk about the Empire State Building, that's going to be a fact persuasive speech. I am talking about something, presenting information on something that already exists. Okay, me talking about the existence of single parent families. Now that's value. Okay, now that's value because I am presenting a view. It could either be positive or negative. Okay, me talking about influencer culture and saying that it should be banned, now that's action. I am already presenting a view that it should be banned or it should be allowed. Like maybe I could say these weapons should not be banned. Now, this is also action. I am presenting a point of view and I am going to provide supporting material for it. So, again, don't get worried about this because this is something that I am going to provide you with. But I was just trying to explain to you what a persuasive speech is. It is when you have your platform with you, you have your baseline with you, and you need to convince a person or you need to predict. Let the azan happen and then I'm going to continue.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, it's done. Okay, following through. So yeah, whenever it's a persuasive speech, you might need to give an introduction of the topic as well, because again, you're persuading the audience into believing or supporting or going against a certain thing. Now that's the third thing within your introduction. Okay, I am just explaining this, but I am going to make your life a lot easier, because I'm going to give you a fixed format. A fixed format. I'll explain it. I'll explain what I mean by that, but you're gonna like me after that. Okay,
Okay.
so then you have your purpose of speech. Okay, that's also going to be a part of your introduction. So again, because you've already explained who you are, you've already addressed the audience, you've already explained what your topic is. Now you're fine. Everybody knows your topic, but then why are you talking about that? That is what comes under your purpose of speech. So let's say if I talk about child labor today, okay, I can say that I'm going to shed light on child labor. However, why am I doing that? That is going to come under my purpose of speech, that I am deciding to talk about this topic, or I am scratching the surface of this particular topic because maybe I witnessed something or I read something, could be anything at all. Then you've got but the paragraphs, so that the body paragraphs, now that could be paragraph 2, 3, 4, 5. You could have as many body paragraphs as you want, but it's ideal, because you're a no level, so it's ideal for you to have just 3 paragraphs, okay, which are basically, again, given the instructions for those, the body paragraph pointers are already given in your topic, just like they were for informal and formal letters. And then you have the conclusion. So that could be, thanking your audience, providing, like a formal conclusion. It's very simple like that. So persuasive speech, a successful persuasive speech should open with a clear statement of the issue and your opinion. We get the audience you're trying to persuade, provide facts, examples, statistics, and reasons to support your opinion, answer posing views. Now this is something that I'm going to explain with 3 different distinctions, so no problem, no need to go get into this right now. um Again, when you're writing a persuasive speech, make a list, brainstorm. That's what's going to help you. Basic instructions. Again, basic instructions. Okay, now this is more about delivery than writing it, so that's a whole different thing. Now that's I've explained to you how the format is going to look like. However, now I'm just going to make your life easier and just give you a format which you'll follow throughout, and you'll always just write your speeches according to that format, and yeah, it's going to be easier then. So I have got the, just a second, personal experience speech, narrative, personal speech outline, sample. Okay, great. So I've got this here. So this speech that has already been given is an example of a personal experience speech, okay? However, this outline that has been given is going to be used in every speech, okay? So removing this general and specific purpose, that is not what is really required. It is more for your own clarity. You don't require it with your syllabus right now, but that's okay. Your thesis statement is one of the most important things here, okay? Again, upper, on the top, you don't have to write absolutely anything. That's okay. You start from your introduction. So in your introduction, you've got the first thing, which is your attention getter. Okay, so let's say if you're writing a speech on personal experience, what will help you get the attention of your audience? How will you immediately try to make it personal? You can just go ahead and you can now look at how they've said it. They say that blood is thicker than water, which implies bonds that we share which with family are greater than those we share with friends. But let's not forget, we can't live without blood, but we'll die without water. So this is something that they have used to get your attention. And it's pretty much worked, because if you read the first sentence over here with the quote in it, you will be like, okay, what is this? I want to know about this. So it works. So that's the first thing that you have. You need a statement which is basically your attention getter. It gets the audience's attention for you. Let me just find this personal experience speech that I wrote. That's going to help us see. Okay, so I am coming back to this format. Of course, I'm coming back to it, but I just want to make you see this example that I wrote. Okay, I wrote it like a month ago or so, and yeah, I just want you to see the attention getter here. So I have my general purpose, a specific purpose which you do not need. Now this is my attention getter. Just this first line over here. It says 2 minutes into a meeting, and there would be the iconic "shut up, get up, and get out" flowering out of my mouth. That's what I was like. Does this make you a little bit curious what I'm talking about?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that is exactly what they mean by an attention getter, okay? That it gets audience's attention. It doesn't have to be direct, okay? It can be something that is just demanding their attention, okay?
Okay.
So, that's mostly for, let's say, special occasions and personal experience speeches. For persuasive, you might just, it always depends on the audience that you are attending to. Again, I'll get to that. I'll explain how when we're going to try different topics. But right now, I'm not going to get into that. I'm going to get into the format. Okay, then the second part is that relate to the audience. Nobody wants to listen to something that they can't even relate to. So if you're going to go ahead and if you're going to tell me stuff about, let's say, how it's like, okay, let's say you are telling me about a Netflix show that I haven't even watched. So I can't relate to it. I mean, it's okay if you're giving me a speech about a Netflix show that I haven't watched, but you need to relate to me in some sense or the other. So you can talk about maybe binge watching. Now that might relate to the audience, okay? Something that is common within the audience. Now, if you have a historical topic, Alhamdulillah. Sorry. So if you have a historical topic, now that's all factual, okay? It's not really going to help your audience with absolutely anything. However, if you're going to relate to them in a certain way, that this also talks about how this is exactly from the times that your grandparents were used to live in, or from that century where maybe your favorite poet was at the top of the rank. Absolutely anything that helps you relate to the audience. So in my over here in this one, they're talking about friendships and how important friendships are. So that is very easy to relate. Let's say my topic was about me coaching a basketball team, okay? So how did I relate to the audience? I'm going to go back to that and show you how I related to the audience. So I wrote, have you ever had a coach who claimed that they wanted you to be better but made it difficult for you to even breathe during a game? If not, be grateful you are not one of the girls in the under 16s girls basketball team at KGS. So how did I relate to them? I asked them a question, even though it is a rhetorical question, but there is a question, okay? And that is my relating to the audience, that I am very directly asking them if they've ever had a coach who made it difficult for them to breathe during a game. They were so scary that it made it difficult for them to breathe. So that's me relating to the audience over here. Now the third part of the sample says thesis. Now what the thesis statement is, I am going to copy the third part over here only because it's difficult for me. So your thesis statement is your, let me just change the color of this. So your thesis statement is your summary of what you're going to be telling. However, it should be coherent and productive, sound like a lesson. So your thesis statement is also a part of your introduction. Now that's basically a summary of what you're going to be telling. So it's not anything that is getting audience's attention. It is not anything related to how to relate to the audience. It's not anything related to something that you might be telling the audience. It's straight up just summarizing what you're going to be telling in your speech. So if your speech is about friendship, so your thesis, the thesis they have used over here is It's important to show how gratitude and love to your to show your gratitude and love to your friends, because it might be your last chance. That's your thesis. My thesis over here is, it started the day I was asked to coach the under 16 basketball team at college. I was not sure about this, but I was told that it was a rather easy task which did not require a lot of work. Okay, now I have provided the thesis where I'm talking about what I am going to be doing. What is my speech about? So I am telling them that my speech is about this one time when I was asked to coach an under 16 basketball team, and how I was told that it wasn't a difficult task, you know, and it did not require a lot of work. So that's my thesis. A pro tip for your thesis is that it should sound like a lesson. Okay, that makes your thesis a perfect statement. Okay, so right now when I read the sample over here, their thesis is, again, it's important to show your gratitude and love to your friends because it might be your last chance. Now that does sound like a lesson. So your pro tip to write your thesis is, make sure that it sounds like a lesson to the audience. That is going to go a long, long, long way. So over here as well, I in the next line, my thesis is pretty long, so it does somehow lead to me giving it sounding it making it sound like a lesson, but the main point obviously stays the same, that you have to summarize what you're going to be telling the audience. But the pro tip is, just to make it sound, just to distinguish it within your paragraph, is to make it sound a little like a lesson, like poetic. Okay, so that's your thesis. Then you move ahead, and then you have got another thing in your introduction, and that is basically your preview. Now your preview is starting your starting your speech. Now this is the part where you're actually starting your speech. How is this? Why is it called the preview? Because you will be giving information that the audience needs to know before you start your speech. So information that the audience needs to know. So the information that I've given, the preview that I've given, is, however, that was not true. Rather, till date, it is one of the most difficult things I've had to do, keeping in mind I am someone who wakes up at 6 a.m. every morning, regardless of how late I sleep. So I said that, they told me that it was a easy task. But then it was not, that was a not true. They lied to me, because it's still one of the most difficult things I've ever had to do. And also, I've added a little humor over that, and I've said, keeping in mind that I'm someone who literally wakes up at 6 a.m. every morning. So that in itself is so difficult. But then this was more difficult than that. So imagine the level of difficulty they put me through. So, this is my preview. Why is this my preview? I am taking you back a step. I am making you go through my misery with me. The preview over here is, let me take you back thousands of more miles to the east of this continent 4 years ago, when I once took for granted all of my closest friends' presence, even though I knew it would be the last time I would see them. Sometimes the longer you've been friends with someone, the easier it is to forget to appreciate them. Now, that is a preview that they have given. They are taking you back 4 years. I am taking you back when they asked me to do this task, and it was so, so, so difficult. It was miserable. So that is it. That's your introduction for you. Do you understand what's happening over here?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Okay, what don't you understand? Why is that a little bit? Let's get into
Uh,
that.
okay, so the first one is the attention getter, right? And
Yeah.
then what would the second be again?
Your second is relate to the audience. So how is this
Okay.
topic related to the audience?
I'm just a bit confused on the thesis part. I
Okay, you
don't
can.
it's not really
Okay,
clear to me, yeah.
okay, sure. So let me just get this done, and then I'll get to the thesis. Okay, so I am going to separate instructions for thesis. Okay, so that's the basically the definition of what a thesis is. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you how is that, you know, the definition basically. So let's say the thesis is basically the central point of your introduction. Okay, so the central point of my introduction, as in, is it's basically telling what the rest of my speech is going to be about. So what the rest of the content or speech is going to be about. Discussing the main idea you're going to speak about. So let's say if my main idea is friendship, then I have to shed light on that, that this is what I'm going to be talking about. But because, you know, if I take the topic from the sample, it's very clear that, you know, that could just mean that it could be about betrayal as well, you know, or it could be about reminiscing over memories, or it could be about overthinking. So discussing the main idea you're going to speak about is basically, again, you know, declaring your topic, whatever is, you know, whatever you're going to discuss basically. Okay, and then it has to be coherent. That means that, you know, it's sentence structure needs to be right. That's it. So that's the basic idea. What I mean by thesis, let's say an example of a topic, let's say you're writing a, an example is that you're writing a farewell speech. Okay, you have introduced the topic, you have gotten your attention getter, you have also related to the audience. Okay, and now you need to give a thesis. So the thesis is you basically telling the central point of your introduction, like what's the point of, you know, you giving the speech, and what are you going to be speaking about. So then I can go ahead and I can say that, as you know, that XXX is leaving us, and we are all here to say goodbye to him and express our gratitude. Okay, this is just a general example that I've given you. So let's say this is in an office. So this, as you know, so as you know, would be for the colleagues. Okay, so as you know that XXX is leaving us, and we are all here to say goodbye to him and express our gratitude. So what I have done over here is we are all here to say goodbye to him and express our gratitude, is basically telling the audience and telling you as well what your speech is about. Okay, it is declaring the main idea of what you're going to speak about. So you are here to speak about this goodbye session. Okay, you are here to express your gratitude because somebody is leaving. Okay, and that is what they mean by the thesis statement, that you go ahead and you summarize what all you are going to be talking about. Okay, so you go ahead and you basically, again, summarize what's going to happen in your speech. So that is just what your thesis statement is. When I say coherent, it just needs to sound a little professional. I would say professional in the sense that, you know, when you read something and you have something motivational in between that, that is basically a, you know, that's something coherent. Coherence is basically, you need to make it sound like, you know, you need to make a statement which attracts attention. Okay, so when I say, as you know, that XXX is leaving us, and we are all here to say goodbye to him and express our gratitude, now this is telling me, this is giving me a coherent point of view, that this is what I'm going to be doing, this is the main theme of my passage, and it is, you know, grabbing the attention of the audience in the sense that they know what I'm going to be talking about. So they're not clueless. This is basically a statement that is informing, it is informing your audience of your topic, your plans, etc. Do you get it now? Is it clearer now?
Yes, yes, it's clear now.
Okay, perfect, great. Thank you. I'm glad you asked questions. Okay, so that, then you have your thesis, then you have your preview, which is you basically starting the point. Okay, so you're starting your story. Okay, you basically have to, you know, you're starting your speech, so you're taking them back, even if it's you accepting an award. Okay, so that would mean that you are starting somewhere. So you can say, my journey has been so, now that would be a preview. Preview is anything that forces the audience to go back a little, to go, you know, to think of the past. That's preview for you. So that's your introduction. Okay, then you go ahead and you talk about your body paragraphs. I'm going to switch the screen again. um So you have your body paragraph one. So this is again divided into pointers. You just need a paragraph. Okay, it doesn't have to be divided into pointers at all. This body paragraph is the pointer that is given in the exam by the examiner in the exam paper. So if the first point they're going to give you, that's going to be your first body paragraph. The second point that they're going to give you is going to be a second body paragraph. One thing you need to remember: all of them are supposed to have topic sentences like you did in your informal and formal letter. So it was September 15, 207 in Quezon Cities, Philippines. There's your topic sentence. Our last ride together on the way to the airport was pleasant but controlled. Again, topic sentence. So most important part of your body paragraph is that you're giving a topic sentence, and that topic sentence is basically declaring what you're going to be talking about in that particular paragraph. Okay, so if my first paragraph is going to be about how the practices were so difficult with the basketball team, that's going to be my topic statement as well, my topic sentence as well, that the practices were this difficult. Okay, so it is basically telling what is going to happening in that particular paragraph. Okay, that's your three body paragraphs, and then you have the conclusion, which is to sum it up. So the part one is to wrap it up. To wrap it up is basically you giving a conclusive statement. So you are, you are telling the audience that, okay, it's time to, be ready for the end. Okay, so like in your, even in movies, when you know that the hero and the heroine are meeting for the last time, you know that this is the end of it, this is the conclusion. So they are basically giving you the first gist of it, which is to wrap it up. And then the second part of your conclusion is to give a summary. The summary is not, writing whatever you have written again, but to summarize the purpose of your speech. Okay, so you have given a speech, now you're just summarizing the purpose of your speech. And then the last thing is closing with impact. So you need to make sure that, you are leaving an impact on the audience, be it a persuasive, be it a farewell, be it absolutely anything. You need to close with an impact. Is that clear?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do right now, this is the format that I've explained to you. This format, I'm going to be sending it to you. Okay, right now I'm going to go back to the example that I was showing you. That's going to be one example that I'm showing you, and I'm going to move ahead and I'm going to show you another example. So we're just going to look at a few speeches before we start implementing, before we start looking at topics. That's something that's secondary. Right now we're just trying to understand how we're conveying a message through this format that has been provided to us. Okay,
Okay.
so we've got over here. Okay, so that's my introduction. So I have my first body paragraph. 3 weeks to the Lump Sports Festival, and a bunch of girls who refer to themselves as amateurs came in for the heats. My topic sentence. Okay, the first thing I used to hear with from each one of them is, "Oh, you're the coach." I still remember where. I still remember the first day where after 2 laps of running, they were breathing the life out of themselves. I was clueless, but then that's when I thought to myself, it's either fight or flight, and I decided to fight. Okay, so then go ahead and I say, after the first day, all the practices followed a standardized routine: 200 meters of run, training for jump shots, layups, and then free shots. A 15-minute match followed this. 12 pairs of dilated pupils used to stare at me bi weekly, and I sat there with my baseball cap, smiling, telling them that that's what they needed to be better. Each meeting was a herd of stutters, while each of them thought several times before uttering a single word. At some point, they started saving my contact as XXX danger. Okay, now the one thing to notice is I have got another topic sentence here because it was another body paragraph point for me. So I have said that what am I going to be talking about? I am going to be talking about all the other practices, and I am going to be talking about the standardized routine that they followed. Okay, and that's what I have done here. Then I have another topic sentence here. It was all fun and games until the game day. Okay, another topic sentence. So now I'm going to be talking about the game day. While all of them were on point with their strategy, the fear of losing the game or the fear of their coach resulted in a defeat. Well, runners up, but defeat to be real. That was the day I realized that only if I understood them rather than ruling them, it could have been a victory, not just of the tournament, but of me as an individual, and a coach. So then I have got, this is what I've got for my third body paragraph. Now I have got my conclusion. Not going to lie, it was fun while it lasted. This is my wrap it up statement. Okay, this shows that yes, I am going to wrap up my speech. Is it showing that I'm going to wrap up my speech?
Yes. Yes.
Great. My bubble burst along with 12 hopes that I took with me. It was the one time I learned that sometimes being polite and humble can go a longer way than controlling and condescending. That's my wrap it up. Oh, sorry, that's my summary. I haven't repeated what happened, but I have presented it in a negative or a positive light. I have presented the lesson that I have learned through what had happened, which is providing, a summary as to what had happened. Okay, so I have learned that it's better to be humble rather than condescending. And now I need my conclusive statement, which is basically me closing with an impact. So I have said, so my last statement was that I learned sometimes being polite and humble can go a longer way than controlling and condescending. And then I've said, well, if not a longer way, then at least in the Lump Sports Festival. So, I just said that, even if it doesn't go a really long way, it is definitely going to go till the victory of the Lump Sports Festival, which is what matters over here. So that's me closing with an impact. Do you see how short it was, but how much it shows in just this one speech?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's one example. Let me go back to another one. Um, I wrote that very recently. Okay, letter, formal. Okay, this is yours only. Psychology. Okay, here it is. Okay. Attention getter. Most of you might not remember your first interaction with Mr. Hulk, but unfortunately I do. Do I have your attention with this statement?
Yes.
Okay, now I'll relate to the audience. I had already heard the rumors that Hulk from Fifth was the real talk of the office. In my head, I was expecting what a regular human would, maybe a giant being or some muscles. If neither, then definitely some green. Okay, now this part where I am talking about what a regular human would be imagining when they hear the word Mr. Hulk, that is what I'm talking about. So that is me relating to the audience, because who is the audience is regular human beings, and I am relating to them. I am saying that as as a regular human, as someone who would be in your position as well, I imagine what you would have imagined. I would have imagined maybe a giant being or even some muscles, and if neither of those two things, then definitely some green. So if I had heard the word Hulk, I would also imagine like that. So I am also relating to the audience by saying, as the audience would have imagined, that would happen my imagination as well. So do you see how this statement is relating to the audience?
Yes, yes.
Then I'll go ahead and talk about my thesis. Okay, now my thesis is basically the main theme of my passage. That is basically what I'm going to be discussing throughout. Okay, so now I've said, even though that is not what happened, but till date, I believe that everyone should have a Hulk in their life, the human version of it, just to be clear. So I have said that everyone should have a Hulk in their life. Okay, and that is what tells me that, okay, this person is going to be talking about Hulk. Okay, this person is going to be talking about the importance of Hulk. This person is going to be talking about why everybody should have a Hulk in their office or in their life. Do you get it? Do you get the
Yes.
thesis what's happening here? Great. Then we have the preview is going just a little in the past. So the preview is basically the start of story. So now that he's leaving, it's time to disclose what happened. So I am saying that I am going to disclose what happened, and that is my preview. I actually personally like this speech a lot. Even where I submitted it, it was a very huge success. So it's a nice speech. I'm gonna send it to you as well.
Okay.
It was a Wednesday, and of course, by this day of the week, I hate work. I hate the dim color of the walls and the constant clicking of pens from the cubicles. However, that turned out to be a rather eventful but also an embarrassing day for me. I was seconds away from bashing my head against the photocopier when I heard someone say, Hulk smash! About time! I got startled and guarded myself by making a shield across my head using my hands, as I was avoiding a contact with a flashlight. Worst of all, I was on the floor whilst doing that. About 15 seconds later, I heard a chuckle, to which I looked up to find a 5'11 man in a Tom Ford suit, files in one hand and phone in the other. Turns out that was his way of saying goodbye when cutting a call. I realized that in a mere few seconds, which felt like 900 years to me, but then I questioned myself, but why? Upon realizing that, I gasped. He chuckled again and brought his hand forward and said, Nice to meet you, I am Hulk. I kept one hand on my mouth, stifling my laugh, and the other forward, whispering, Likewise, I am Wonder Woman. I ran away from the room, laughing but also wishing and hoping I would never see him again after what had just happened. That's how we became friends. That's my first body paragraph where I have the first point for this was that you need to tell why you're giving this certain speech. So I am giving the certain speech because sorry, it was basically the storyline behind you giving this certain speech, and it had to include three features. It had to include three reasons. So I have given all of those. So let's not get into that. But do you get it how my body paragraph is phrased over here?
Yes, yes.
Moving ahead, the main point of a speech is that you need to keep the audience curious. So I am sure that right now too, you're curious as to what happened to Hulk, because it's just a generally interesting topic. Now, the second part is, as you are all aware, that Mr. Hulk is now moving to Nova Scotia, which doesn't really seem like a place fit to his name, but it's the truth, and today we are here to say goodbye to him. I never thought there would come a day where I won't be able to break the silence at brunches, dinners, and parties by saying, there's a guy named Hulk at my office. With that being said, I want to express my gratitude to him for making this place what it is. For the long hours, the night shifts, the hustle, and more importantly, the free meals. Another body paragraph. Then I move on to the third one. He has taught us all so much more than any of us could imagine. I will always remember the day he helped the seven marketing manager to get their bonuses. I remember how he particularly drafted the letter and stood 5 hours outside the executive officer's office just so they could get their bonuses. Even though for those 5 hours I covered his work for him, which I still haven't received a reward, but well, his work ethic, his punctuality, and his neat attire are some of the many things that he will leave with us. He is leaving as much influence on our lives as much as his name does on a lot of teenagers till date. I have given another body paragraph with a solid topic statement, with the solid conclusive statement. So I look at all my body paragraphs again. Topic sentence: he has taught us all so much more than we can imagine. Conclusive statement: he is leaving as much influence as on us as much as his name does on a lot of teenagers till date. Topic sentence: that he's moving to Nova Scotia. I have disclosed that, but in a humorous way, which is why my topic sentence is longer here. Conclusive statement again: for the long hours, the night shifts, and most importantly, the free meals. Topic sentence: it was a Wednesday, and of course, by this day, I hate work. Conclusive: that's how we became friends. Solid body paragraphs that I have provided over here, and that's what matters. Then you have to wrap it up. I can't imagine coming to the office every day and not having my personally favorite consultant with me, but I also know that Nova Scotia is lucky to have you. So I have wrapped up the whole speech here. I will give a summary. His impact on our institute and his efforts in making it a prestigious one will always remain despite its awkward encounters. So I am not repeating anything, but I am also summarizing what I have already discussed. So I have discussed awkward encounters, and I have summarized it in a nice, coherent way over here. And then I am closing with impact, and I'm saying, as cliche as it gets, you are our hardest goodbye, but as you say, about time. With love, your Marvel colleagues. Do you get it now? Do you
Yeah,
understand what happened here?
yeah.
Okay, great. So this is something that I'm going to sending. I'll be sending to you. For now, you all just need to understand the format. You don't need to worry about the types of speeches. You don't need to worry about your body paragraphs. You don't need to worry about your content. You just need to understand what your format is going to be looking like. Okay, I'm going to send you these documents. Just review them before the next class, so you'll have a nice idea as to how the format is going to look like. Is that clear?
Yes, yes.
Okay, that's all for today. You can leave. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Love
Allah Hafiz.